What's up, you dirtbags and degenerates? Welcome back to Trades and Gains. This is your early morning update where we separate actual political risk from Twitter theatrics. Because let's be honest, half the people on Twitter are just seeking attention and giving absolutely no value. And it is what it is. So sorry if you fall into that category. Maybe you should change your shoe size if the shoe fits. Because guess what? While markets are pretending everything is fine, Washington is quietly leaking oil. Today's theme is, in this video's theme, it's going to be Trump versus own party, right? We're going to be looking at Trump versus his own party, which should be fun. Venezuela, healthcare, and midterm math. And finally, why this matters more for markets than most people realize. Let's go ahead and dive straight into this so you can stop hoping and praying for those 0 date to expiration contracts to actually pay out. Because let's be honest, they probably won't. So this week, it was supposed to be a victory lap for Donald Trump. Instead, it turned into a reminder that midterms change everything. Here's the headline nobody wants to say out loud. Republicans, they are starting to vote like they're afraid of voters again. 17 House Republicans, yes, I said 17, as in 1-7, broke ranks and voted with Democrats to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies for 3 years. That's not ideological, that's survival mode. These are lawmakers in toss-up districts, swing states, and places where voters actually look at their insurance bill before voting. Trump doesn't want the extension. House leadership didn't want the extension, but reality wanted the extension, and guess what? Reality ended up winning. So let's be very clear about one thing here. This vote wasn't about loving Obamacare. It's about not blowing up premiums heading into an election year. Those ACA tax credits that expired at the end of 2025, well, without them, premiums go ahead and spike, millions feel it immediately, and guess who gets blamed? Not Congress, not the system, but the guy, aka head honcho in charge. And that's why Republicans from vulnerable districts said, no, we're not dying on this hill for you guys. Now, markets should care about this because healthcare spending equals consumer stability. Consumer stability equals less downside shock, and less shock equals fewer recession tail risks. This isn't bullish euphoria, but it's gonna go ahead and cap that downside for you, and you don't really have to worry about trying to figure out where it exists. Now let's go ahead and talk some foreign policy, because this is where the cracks start to get louder. And no, I'm not talking about your butt crack, but the 5 Senate Republicans joined Democrats on procedural vote that could limit Trump's ability to take military action in Venezuela. Trump responded predictably by saying they should be quote unquote ashamed and never elected again. But here's the problem for the White House. The senators, they didn't flinch. One literally said, "Why would I change my stance?" That's not defiance, that's what we call blinding confidence, okay? And markets, they're gonna notice confidence, especially in this environment, because when Congress starts questioning executive war powers, it's going to go ahead and introduce a litany of problems. We're talking policy uncertainty, energy volatility, and geopolitical premium creep. Oil already reacted earlier this week, and this keeps that pressure sticky, not necessarily explosive. Now, the midterm math problem, this is all going to come down to one thing. Midterm math beats party loyalty. Trump, well, guess what? He can still muscle votes through. He proved that by surviving the veto override attempts. But the margin for error is starting to shrink like your butthole when you have to take a really big poop. You're seeing retiring senators stop caring, swing district reps hedging, and leadership quietly managing risk instead of enforcing purity tests. That's not weakness, that's political gravity. And guess what? We live on Earth, so gravity will always win, you idiots. Now, what are the market takeaways? And what does Wall Street do with this exactly? Well, with equities, markets don't panic over gridlock, they prefer it. Less radical policy equals less surprise risk. On the healthcare front, this vote quietly stabilizes insurers and providers. Not bullish fireworks, but fewer landmines are now to be stepped on. And on the energy front, we see Venezuela uncertainty plus GOP hesitation, which is going to cause some elevated risk premium. Not a spike, but it's not something you should necessarily fade either. And on the rate front, political fragmentation makes aggressive fiscal shifts harder, which subtly supports the higher for longer but capped narrative that we have been getting pushed out of us. So no, this isn't Trump collapsing and falling down to his 80-year-old self. This is something more dangerous for the markets. This is what we like to call unpredictable alignment. When politicians stop voting on ideology and start voting on polling, things move slower, louder, and much messier, like a Real Housewives episode. And messy, it doesn't crash the markets. Messy just grinds them down like a Jamaican woman on a poor white man who was going to a holiday party. All right. Anyways, that's your midday update. If you want the market side of this broken down with flow, positioning, and accurate trades, well, you know where to find us at Trades and Gains. And if you want to see it in real time, go ahead and sign up for Investor Central Club. Use that code STACKSAPEX for 20% off your first month so you can start winning today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and I hate you all.